going to ask me to repeat it. So if you hear her say something that I didn't, let me know. Welcome back. 2 years hiatus or 2 month hiatus. Everybody had a good time. We're ready to get back with it. Yeah, super. Yeah, look, Jennifer is. She's got a big red party coming up. All kinds of things. Won't be too long till November shows up, and we're starting Park West back up again. So weather's cool today. I like that. Yes, ma'am.
That's in about an hour.
Yes. Yes, can't.
Everybody else.
It's all right. So we're going to get started this morning with Laura. She's going to introduce our speaker.
Great, good evening. Today we have our very own Mary Habib. She is an interpretive guide at Honey Creek, and she's going to speak tonight about the history of Honey Creek and all the positive things that it has to be. So, Mary, I'll let you start.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and hello online. I can't see you, but you can see me. I am honored to be here. Please let me know how my volume is. We're okay? Okay. So I am a member of the class of Guadalupe Master Naturalists from 2022. Some of my friends are here. Some folks in the 2023 class that I haven't seen in forever. Hi, Brandon. And then I went on to get a certified interpretive guide approval from the National Association, thank you, of interpreters. And I spoke with the class last week about how that is an opportunity that anyone can do. You just go to NAI.com. They're an international association now, and you can take a 32-hour class and get some really great hints on how to do interpretive walks if that's something that you do in your volunteer hours. It is not inexpensive.
Online.
It's on. You can do it online, or you can go to Phil Hardberger and do a 32-hour program right there in the park.
So it was not inexpensive?
It is $400 for the 32-hour class and the pin. An expensive pin.
And the certification lasts for.
So the certification lasts forever, but you have to do 8 hours of advanced training every year to refresh. Right.
Can we just make a little caveat for the students? It's not required.
Right. Not required.
It's a fun thing to do, but it's not required. You can still be an interpreter. Just so you know, for the new people.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, it just gives you more tools in your toolbox. That's basically what it is. And then in 2023, I was certified by the folks who run the Honey Creek Walk to be a certified Honey Creek volunteer guide. And every first Saturday and first Sunday of the month, I lead hikes there. And I invite you to come anytime. If you have a state park pass, of course, there's no entrance fee. Otherwise, it's the typical state park entrance fee at the gate.
So it's a state park?
So Guadalupe River State Park, Honey Creek State Natural Area are contiguous. Together, that whole area plus the new acquisition that we just got in 23 brings us to just shy of 5,000 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a big place. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. August is a little tricky. By noontime, it's hot, but it's a beautiful place. I call it my happy place. And you can see most of these photos don't have photo credit because they're I wasn't making myself credit. Those are my photos, but you will actually see this on the walk/hike. This is what is there to entice you to come. So Laura asked me to talk about Honey Creek, the history, impact of humans on the place over the past 500 years. I picked 500 as a nice round number because we could go on for 4 hours to talk about the impacts of humans over 14,000 years, right? So with that, I'm going to give you an overview and an introduction. So again, this is what you will see when you get to the mouth of Honey Creek as far as we are permitted to go. That is absolutely what you will see. And Jennifer, and several other folks in the room who have been to Honey Creek, John, they can tell you, yes, that's a for real picture. It's not from the National Geographic. So we'll go through the humans, the history, the impacts of the French and the Spanish explorers. A couple of anecdotes. Polar months, you'll go on a 2.5 hour interpretive sort of it's a walk. It is not a hike. It's sometimes referred to as a hike. We go through 4 different and distinct ecosystems. We talk culture, history. We talk, of course, geology, fun facts and anecdotes, and we even have a section on adult beverages. So come on out. You'll enjoy it. This is the link. I'll put it up at the end. You have to sign up because we try to keep it to 20 people. Otherwise, more than 20 people, I can't hear the question and you can't hear my answer. So that's why we keep it to a small group.
Yeah.
Do I keep hitting the wrong button?
No, I'm trying to manage the meeting. Hopefully that won't happen again, because I pull the mouse over here and then when I take the mouse off of that, the clicker stops working.
Okay.
But hopefully,
We make a good team.
yeah, hopefully we'll see it anymore. Sorry.
So back in 2006, Texas Parks and Wildlife adopted this "Life's Better Outside" motto, and they use that tagline frequently. And I really kind of like it because over the past 20 years, a lot of research has been done on why nature and you being in nature is so good. There are meta-analyses, peer-reviewed documents, journal documents that actually show being in nature lowers your blood pressure. It improves cognition, makes you happier. It decreases anxiety. All of this has been proven in scientific journals, not just somebody throwing it off the top of their head. In other countries, they also have recognized this. Canada and Japan are 2 of the countries that are leading in research for nature deficit disorder. So in Canada, if you go to the doctor and you are diagnosed with some kind of anxiety, I know they talk about NDD. And in Canada, if you are in fact diagnosed with that, your doctor will give you a free 1-day park pass to the national parks in Canada. And they're quite beautiful if anybody's been. Same in Japan. Of course, in Japan, culture is different. So if you're in Japan and you're diagnosed with NDD, your doctor's going to hand you a slip for free forest bathing so that you can detox in the woods. So I know it's Monday, and a lot of you are still working. I'm not sure that tomorrow if you call your boss and say, "Hey, boss," I'm not sure it's gonna fly, but you can try. Let me know how that works for you. So this is the timeline that I selected because we had to have limits, a start and a finish, and keep it in 50 minutes time. So I started with 1500-ish and going through to today. So of course, we have Indigenous Native Americans. Let me take a stop there and just share what Texas Parks and Wildlife has shared with all of us as interpreters. When we don't know the tribe, Native Americans is Texas Parks' preferred label. When we do know the tribe, because it's a symbol of respect, to use that tribe's name. So that's why I have used both Indigenous and Native American monikers, so that, but when we're on site and we're talking to the public, we say Native American or Comanche. And as time's gone on, we had the explorers come. 1528 was the very first explorer. The Ava came at that point. The explorers interacted with the Native Americans. The Spanish missions came in. Then Texas had a revolution, became a state. German settlers, biggest human impact on Honey Creek, which we'll get to in a little bit. The Rust House is where the hike at Honey Creek will begin. It is a home that was built in 1917 for the German settlers, and it has been refurbished. And then I'll tell you all the good things about how we're protecting our endangered friends at Honey Creek and Guadalupe, and what our future vision is. And then, of course, I'm going to give you a plug to come out and see for yourself. So the historical records that we can come up with, diaries and things that people have written over the years, this view is at the very beginning of the Honey Creek Walk, and this is probably what the Native Americans saw when they were first here. This happens to be a shot of the live oak savanna. We have post oak savannas also. Over the years, human interaction has caused that to change. And at the time that the Native Americans were in the area, there were fewer cedar breaks than there are today and more savanna. This is a picture that I took in 2003 of Honey Creek. If you look closely, you can see the remnants of a controlled burn that was done to restore that savanna and take out some of those cedars. It was very successful, and there are more controlled bans planned for 2024. And of course, we'll adjust our plans for driving you down Honey Creek. Controlled burns.
Did you say you took that in 23?
23, I took that picture. So that's very recent. So I was just going to give us a short history of some of the different tribes that were in the hill country area. And then we'll start to narrow down the geography to Honey Creek proper as we get a feel for the history. So there are several kinds of Apache tribes. The tribe that happened to be in the hill country, very prominent in the 1600s. They were here before and they were here after. That's when they were very prominent. They had small villages. They still went after buffalo, had small villages. And they had a sacred connection to the earth. So their impact to the earth, to the area, as compared to the German impact, for example, would be completely different. They had a completely different goal of being there. Let me flip to my. So the one thing that I wanted to point out was this group, the Black Apache, would come down to San Antonio and grab the tunas from the prickly pear because they loved them. And they also referred to the persimmon as wild plums, and they would get those at Honey Creek and Guadalupe River State Park. So that's a direct connection, direct relevance. We had the Waco tribe, which was actually part of the Wichita Indians. They were very prevalent in the 1700s in the hill country. They also did some agriculture, lima beans, melons, and pumpkin. I found curious. I never thought to try to grow pumpkin. Anybody try? I imagine it will do well. And of course, corn. And this group of Indians did interact with the French explorers. And we have a funny anecdote for you about that. They were mostly near New Braunfels. The other two tribes that were very prevalent in the 1300s, the Tonkawa, they stayed right through Stephen F. Austin's time. They were actually a mishmash, a group of different tribes that came together, and they lived in teepees. Their bow and arrow skills were remarkable. And unfortunately, they were part of the Trail of Tears in 1859 history for Texas. That group, unfortunately, was part of that, where they ended up in Oklahoma. And many of them, with their association with Austin, became Texas Rangers. And it wasn't because they thought the Texas Rangers were so great, it was because they needed the protection from the community. So it was a win-win for them. And then, of course, the Comanche really came down to the hill country area in the 1740s. I haven't challenged historians on any of these dates. I've looked them up, got 3 people to tell me, yes, in fact, that's close, and I went with it. I have not challenged these dates. If anybody knows better, please tell me. Unmatched skill with horses. That's, we've seen that. Hollywood has taken that from almost to the level of ridiculous. And unfortunately, at the end of the 1800s, the second president of the Republic of Texas was done with the Comanche raids and tried his best to push as many out of the area as possible. And that was the Red River War.
That Lamar?
I'm sorry?
Was that Lamar?
Yes, I have that. Actually, it's, thank you for the segue. Perfect segue. See, Ken and I rehearsed this. So the first president was, okay, we're good. Americans and white men and the Indians we're gonna be fine. That was a 2-year period, 1836. By 1838, the second president, as Ken just mentioned, was like, nope, we can't live together. So I thought in that very short period of time, how attitude changed was kind of an interesting take. So the Native American impact on the ecology and the ecosystem, not really a huge negative impact. The Native Americans recognized the importance of burning and natural fires to the restoration of the savanna. They recognized that that was a helpful thing. And this is a mural from Kerrville of some Native Americans. It's been retouched, but it has been colored. It's a mural from a wall showing them actually burning to get better food for the animals they wanted to hunt and eat. The burns that they did would take the grass down level, but it wouldn't impact the root system, so it grew back better and happier. They realized the importance of natural fires. So now, 1500s, we've got this gentleman, de Vaca, who came from Spain, and he had a very unfortunate arrival. He got to Galveston because his ship collapsed. He was shipwrecked in Galveston. And this was the route he took over many years, ultimately landing in Mexico City. His interaction with the Native Americans in our area was limited, but all of the explorers that came after him followed a similar route and spread out more. So I just wanted to give you a view of that. On this side, you can read the quote from his diary. Just take a second so everybody can read that. So he actually thought that the Native Americans had special superpowers because they were so good at surviving in this harsh climate and they could move steadily and not be heard. He was just very totally impressed with the whole culture of the Native American. Following De Vaca, many Spanish explorers came over. And of course, they brought horses, hogs, cattle, cows, trading opportunities, and unfortunately, they also brought diseases that our Native Americans had not been exposed to, had a really hard time. In the late 1600s, the Apache and the Comanche mastered the forest. The Comanche so much so that they had their own enormous herds. And again, to perpetuate the Hollywood, the Comanche's ability to manage their horse and their horsemanship was so fantastic that they would actually ride into a herd of buffalo that was moving. Puppy cows, as the national park calls them, and they would stop and kill them right there and then. And once the horse was introduced, completely changed the way they lived. So the Comanches became sufficient to be Spanish. I'm sorry. The Comanches actually became rivals to the Spanish on how good of horsemen and horsewomen they became. I took a picture of the Mustang for this slide because they're magnificent animals. The Mustang wasn't the only one that was introduced by the Spanish. There were 5 or 6 different broad holes. But I just like, again, more Mustang for a visual. And I thought Mustang was appropriate because after all, we have Mustang Island here in South Texas, right? So the presence of horses changed the landscape in many ways. So this is a bigger impact, bigger footprint that the Native Americans had along with the Spanish on the area. And it wasn't necessarily positive. So the Mesquite decided to find its way with the horses and spread inland. It used to be along the coast. That was just one example of a negative impact that the horses had on the area. The French explorers also came into the hill country area, but not so much. The Spanish pretty much had it wrapped up. But the French did make big impacts in Castroville in that area. And the whole interaction between the Spanish, the French, and the Native Americans provides what I thought was a hilarious anecdote. So when you come to Honey Creek, you're going to see wonderful examples of Spanish moss. You're going to see lots of it. It's everywhere. And I do a lot of research on the Spanish moss because when people come, I guess, ask me questions about it. So I wanted to be able to make sure I told everything I knew and then some about Spanish moss. So what happened with Spanish moss is the French explorers, the Spanish, got into kind of a contest, an insult. The Choctaw in Louisiana translated Itna Okna, which was the Indian pronunciation, for the French and for the Spanish. And they thought, well, the French thought, well, we'll call it Spanish beard because they're so ugly. And the French thought, well, we all call it French hair because they're so ugly. Anyway, they went back and forth for years with these insults. And that's how Spanish moss started. Because we all know it ain't Spanish and it's not moss. So when I'm explaining that to the guests that come to Honey Creek and I'm telling them that it's actually related to the pineapples, it always makes a good conversation. So now the Germans have, and it's 1840s. Germany has some very unorganized revolutions and social unrest. Is that correct?
Yeah, 1848 was a very sad history. It was way too short. It was the attempt to unify Germany, all the little principalities and such. We actually had a parliament in Frankfurt, still stands the building, and did survive the bombing. The Alamo.
Like the other.
When it came to an end, it was crushed by the authorities, the army, whatever. A lot of those Germans then left to the Americas, brought some of those ideas with them, especially in Concord, Texas. There are a lot of settlers coming in a revolution.
Thank you, Uli, for adding some stuff, information that I wouldn't have to the conversation, because this is a very important turning point in our hill country ecosystem. So between 45 and 61, San Antonio has about 7,600 immigrants. They settled, many of them, in the hill country because some of the hill country reminded them of Germany. And of course, they brought language, culture, beer, and beer gardens. I think that was a great ad. Many saw it, as Yuli was saying, some religious persecution sanctuary, and they believed in a promise. Well, when you hear about this promise, for those who don't know, the Society for the Protection of German Immigrants put this contract together, and it was pretty generic. And they made all these promises to the immigrants. You do all these things, and you pay us about 1,200 US today per person. We're going to give you 320 acres for you to move to the New World, build a home, have freedom, and you will get a Texas deed at the end of 3 years' time. They promised comfortable ships. I'm thinking the Regent, Seabourn, that kind of, right? And transfers from the ship to your hotel and back, and access to the land. So here's what was promised, and here's what the reality is. So promise, you have 3 years to build a house, cultivate 15 acres. That was actually a scientific basis. They figured that 15 acres of food would be enough to feed a family and livestock. And then you built a fence and you get that deed, and it was your land. And the contract was covered with sweeping generalities, no specifics. The reality is based on a 1902 interview from Bernhard Monger. I haven't committed this to memory yet. I will by the next time. And he was 11 years old when he came in 45. And in 1902, he was interviewed. And the reality on this right-hand side of the screen is what he told folks. When he arrived, they were stranded. And the transfers, the group of folks doing those transfers were referred to as Teamsters. The immigrants are at the mercy of the Teamsters. They showed up, they didn't show up, they had enough room, they didn't have enough room. When they finally got to New Braunfels, there wasn't enough construction material. There wasn't enough livestock. There wasn't enough of anything. So this promise and this reality were two different things. Quite a few of the immigrants had to make earthen huts just to survive until enough supplies. There weren't enough wagons, so once the supplies arrived, they had to carry it on their backs. So it was definitely screaming out to a group of folks who needed to be rough, tough, and persevere. And persevere they did. This is a photograph of the Philip Bauer House, which is at Guadalupe River State Park. There's actually a whole section of the state park where you can hike. That's called the Bauer Unit. It's a beautiful hiking experience. It's has no facilities. It's if you want to be alone in the woods, that's the place to go, because the chances of you even come stumbling when you're out there is very slim. Every year, the Guadalupe River State Park Friends, which is, I'm on that board, we have a homestead homecoming. It's open to the public. And it's on our calendar, it's on our website, and I will remember to send the next iteration to Marilyn so she can put it on our calendar. It's about $15. You come out for the afternoon, you go to the homesteads, we give you tours, we tell you a lot more detail than I'm sharing. And you get to meet the descendants of the actual folks who lived there. And we sit around and we talk story and eat and drink, and these descendants will tell stories of their grandparents and their granduncles. And it's really a quite relaxing and intimate view into how their lives have changed. You might recognize the Dopenschmidt name, the Wiedner name. There's the Dopenschmidt funeral homes. I've gone blank. I think they're in the Rumpels. And then this is just a quote from 2002, when during one of those homestead homecomings from Sarah, who is a granddaughter of the original settler. And this photograph is taken by one of the guides at Honey Creek, and he does guides. He does the walks on the last Sunday of the month. He's a retired professor from Trinity, so if you want a really professorial, scholarly talk, he's the person to look for. So the family had a lot of tragedies in the Dopenschmidt family. And here's a photograph of the home, and of course the necessary. Why there are two, I don't know. I guess it was a family affair. But they had some significant tragedies in their first 50 years. The 12-year-old daughter was murdered by a hired hand. The son died of complications from a rattlesnake bite. The mother burned to death trying to incinerate trash. And they stayed. They stood through all that. They stayed, they persevered, and they had a very successful cattle and sheep ranch at the end of the day. Also during this time, what is now today Texas A&M sponsored this Farmers Congress. Every year they would have a Farmers Congress for many weeks, and they would give these ranchers hints, tricks, trades to help them be successful. And this program went on from until 1915, and it eventually morphed into many different other programs. And now today it's 4-H. So I thought that was quite a wonderful outcome. And the Bonanza style family farming that we see on TV in the Hollywood, that was also part of this Texas Farmers Congress from the 1880s. So your Honey Creek hike has just started. This is the Rust House. This is a Rust House restoration project, but it has been mostly restored. There's one restroom in there at the beginning of the Honey Creek Walk, and that's it. The original wallpaper is in there, the photographs, all kinds of static interpretive information is inside. It was built in 17, and Henry and Louise Rust, probably pronounced Roost, is that correct?
Yeah.
Were there until the 50s, where they passed the house. And then the house went to their children, and it became a hunting cabin until 71. The reason the children had to give it up in 71 was not because they wanted to. The tax burden was too heavy because of the size of the property. So it is a state archaeological land. So when the children had to sell it, they sold it to a philanthropist. And lucky for us, the philanthropist worked with the Nature Conservancy and Texas Park division. And it became part of Guadalupe River State Park. But the settler impact, this is one of the things I was asked to address. Livestock, they overgrazed. They ate the native grasses down so much, for so long, that it started to impact the root system. They couldn't bounce back. The cattle and sheep, they had left behind little blast roots that put phosphorus and nitrogen into the earth, into the waterway. It's changed the pH of the soil. They caused overgrading, which of course leads to more of the settler impact. This is an actual photograph that I took of the Honey Creek Ranch. And you can see the cedar overgrazing. As you can see to your right, there was a savanna, and this is near a cedar. So this cedar is very happy to be where it is. Clearing, fencing, all of these things have a detrimental impact on Honey Creek and Guadalupe River State Park area. Then in the 20s and 30s, this beauty that we all call KR Bluestem, King Ranch Bluestem, that was introduced on purpose, one of those major whoops that was supposed to feed the cow, and it was supposed to help with erosion, and it was drought hardy, so it seemed like a good idea at the time. Well, turns out cattle were eating because the beautiful bushy bluestem and bluestem were so much more nutritious and tasty. So the KR bluestem caused a huge ecological decline, also economic. The problem with this stuff is it grows so quick and it grows so tall that its seeds can disperse 10 feet right into the next step. We've all seen it, right? Because Texas Department of Transportation also thought, oh, this is a good idea. And it's all over our highways. So it's been so much of a good idea that it's now in Oklahoma's highways. So it just spread. The scientists are doing some research on how can we pull it back. And they don't have a solution yet. They've tried a couple of things. Burning is one, but that's a work in progress.
Not the same as Jocelyn Ranch.
It is not. It is not the same. But it definitely crowds out the bushy bluestem, especially, and the beautiful bluestem. Just when you come to Honey Creek from the recent rains, it's actually blue. It's not like brown. So that was the settler. So as we're moving forward into the 1900s, about mid-century, we had these folks. Are y'all familiar with the cedar choppers? Have you heard about it? It's awesome, interesting story. So grab yourself a copy of Texas Monthly, August 2019. You could read a lot more. But this particular person, Boot Height, in 1945, is carrying this very special Kerrville chopper. It was designed just to take down the cedars. The overgrowth had become so huge that this whole culture of folk came together, and they were called cedar choppers. And they were like very well welcomed by the local townspeople because they kind of lived a rough and wild lifestyle, and they kind of didn't mix well with the more proper folk in various counties and cities and towns. They were, living hard and free. They were also referred to as charcoal makers because they burned so much cedar, because it was so overgrown from the settlers, that there was just a charcoal area from Sisterdale to New Braunfels along the Guadalupe River, just all charcoal. So now, did cedar offer fantastic help to the folks who had come here, immigrated, and then as their families grew? Yes, we built houses, rail ties, we built fence posts, and of course it wasn't a fuel source. But that cedar choppers actually helped restore a little bit of the ecological ecosystem to what it should have been from the overgrowth of the cedar. Again, in mid-century, we had the access deer. were introduced. They were meant to go to high fenced ranches. Well, deer will be deer. They got out. And they have been living in the hill country region. I believe John saw one at Honey Creek. I've seen them at Honey Creek. They're very happy there. They have all kinds of food source. They have no natural predator. They are disease resistant, and they don't mind the drought. So, so hunters in the room.
It's open season.
What's that?
So I can hunt. My son does, but I am told, and you'll have to tell me because I don't know, axis deer are supposedly more fun to hunt and better eaten.
I've been told they're very good.
I've been told they're very good. Anybody have an opinion?
It can be hunted year round because they're Indian deer, but
Okay.
the problem, a whitetail will stop and you can shoot them, but with axis, when they start to run, they keep.
There's no second chance. Did you? I didn't hear you, John.
No, they have beautiful hides too.
Yes, they do have beautiful hunts, absolutely. But they're from India. They more are related to the Indian elk. The problem that we had at Honey Creek, when we had the Armageddon freeze, that's with the 22, when we had that horrible ice storm. Thank you. They weren't well insulated and several of them died. So that was a budget buster that we had in place for, because we had to have them. Okay, another one of those mid-century oops. This was done on purpose in 74. Texas Park and Wildlife introduced a smallmouth. Well, the Guadalupe bass is very particular about who it mates with. So now we have kind of a DNA cross. Texas Park and Wildlife is working with the Texas Tech and Texas A&M. And in South Llano, they successfully eradicated smallmouth. And they have lots of lessons learned for other places to get back to what should be.
It says the two species, which two species?
The smallmouth and the Guadalupe. That two different kind of bass. So I'm told, again, I'm not a fisherman, that the smallmouth is a bigger fish, more fun to catch, and they're better eaten. Right now, let's jump forward. We're right on time, 10 so we can take questions. Honey Creek just recently received 550 more acres. And it's just a beautiful place, and it has a huge ballroom-like facility on the property that we also took possession of, so that we can start having events. This ballroom-type facility was built by the father because he wanted his daughter to get married on the ranch. It's gorgeous. It's huge kitchen, very similar to what we have here in the short building. And this is a photograph I took. It actually looks like if the sun's. So Honey Creek Cave is at the top of where we can go to. We can't go in the cave. We can't get near it. But the cave is part of the largest system in Texas, 22 mapped miles. It has several miles of river underneath it. And of course, the Honey Creek goes to the Guadalupe River. Guadalupe goes to Canyon Lake, right? Critical water source. We got to protect it. And it's also recharge and drainage for Everett.
No, the cave is still on private property.
The cave itself is still on private property. No, it's not part of the private. But what we do have is, it's like a memorandum of agreement that I can't remember what the real estate term is for. I apologize. But they have promised, the owners of two women that got it from their parents and their parents, they have promised not sell it to commercial industrial development, and they will not make it a natural rich path. So it's going to stay in their family, but it's going to stay pristine and just in their family. I can't think of the term for the real estate instrument they used to write this agreement. I don't think I wrote it down, So that is a positive, real positive. So, and now the honey, and they're very generous. The folks who own the property that the cave is on, they're very generous. They let scientists in all the time, blind salamander research, glowing cheek research. We'll get to that in the next slide. And you have to wear a wetsuit in the Honey Creek Cave because if it starts to rain and you don't have oxygen, you're not coming out. Or you're coming out feet first. So the Honey Creek today, we protect these threatened and endangered. We're reconstructing the live oak savanna. We're doing all kinds of water quality, water quality conservation, macroinvertebrate research. We're doing some wonderful things on the research side. And of course, Kegel's map turtle is endangered. I haven't seen it for 2 years. I saw it 2 years ago, yes.
Cable, that looks like gravitivity's versa, not gravitivity's cacti.
Okay,
So the cacti only lives in the San Antonio River and it's tributary. So I'm not sure about.
okay, I'll check my source on that. I have all the sources in the back of the PowerPoint for that reason, so I could get it right. Thank you. So I'm going to sum up quickly and show you these photographs. This is actually from the Texas Park and Wildlife website. So you really can see it. And that is a photograph that I took, which I then oil painted and it's hanging in my house. Because as I said, this is really a happy place for me. And at the beginning, I was talking to you about how nature is good for everybody's mind and anxiety. Well, all in all, we've got all this research and wonderful thing going on, but we also have a place for people to come and enjoy nature. That is the Word document that I made the chart out of if anybody's interested, but here's how you can get to Honey Creek. And what questions?
We go this week, will it now for any training? Like a chapter thing that we can do?
So, I'm going to show it. The chapter had organized one, and I had the pleasure of Jennifer and Chris and Jim Dutz were with me for that. It was just the three of us, and we ended up having fun. So we can do that. And we did it. And when did we do that? May?
I was gonna say, I thought we tried to arrange a chapter.
We did. And it kind of, the one in October flopped, so we rescheduled it for May. And I just had it free. But again, Carolyn asked me earlier, we do special hikes. We're happy to do it. We ask for a small stipend, like $2 a person. And I'm going to schedule a hike for one of Carolyn's groups. If it's just us, like you just want to go out there and you do the research or something, just call me. I got the keys.
I remember driving around and seeing bumper stickers and saying, "Save Honey Creek." That's all about.
So that might have been before my time. I don't know. But I will look it up.
And there was on the way out, I really, we had to, very funny.
Yeah, I do not know that.
I don't know. I thought it had something to do with the rocks and stuff. Or the mining of rocks or cement factories or something like that.
That I remember that. That was before the Nature Conservancy and Texas Park got the agreement from the Urban's to sell the 515 acres.
Okay.
They were trying to develop it. And the reason the development got stopped was because of water treatment. They first wanted to put in septic. And then they wanted to put in water treatment and feed it back into the water we drink. That didn't fly. So that's what that was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Seeing them,
I just remember seeing it driving out there.
yes,
Is it wheelchair accessible? How accessible?
it is not at all accessible. Well, let me change. That's not true. It is accessible to folks with non-mobility issues. And we will change up the height to handle with folks that might be hearing impaired or that just move a little slower. We will change it up appropriately. Instead of going up a hill, we can go up a road. But it is not at all really.
Entities that I maybe this is a good part. When I thought I went there a long time ago and it was safe naturally. And so now what is the designation? You said they should conservatively operate or have this, but what is the designation?
Right, so the Nature Conservancy gave it to Texas Parks and Wildlife with the label state natural area. Yes,
So it's still designated.
yes, so it's no camping, no kayaking, but it's still worth your time. Anything else?
The caving, does one of the products have access to the cave or is there no caving only for research?
So the cave, from my understanding, is only, it has to be, if we can, ever to do a camp.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if one of the products has access to it. The cave product in Austin or the product.
I'm not familiar, I just know that it's off limits to anyone who doesn't have a PhD and a student. Does anybody online have anything?
So Linda asked if you could say when you guide the tours.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I guide the tour first Saturday, first Sunday of every month. It starts at 8:30 in August and September. It will push back to 9 o'clock, probably November timeframe. Goes for 2.5 hours, 2.5 hour length, 2.5 hour time. And the website right here is where you sign up. I know all of the guides up there. We all have a different take. We all have different energy levels. We all have different specialties. My guide partners both happen to be really good geologists. So I don't do that part. I've got this resource. Another guide I work with is a forester. I mean, how lucky am I? So I provide the entertainment, they provide the information. Anything else?
What else? But are you gonna be there this weekend or next week?
So this weekend, I will be on Sunday because that's September 1st, right? And then the following Saturday, the 7th, I will be there.
Anyone want questions? Are there any other questions online?
Well, thank you very much for your time and attention.
Everybody make the time to see them free. Headquarters, and then the spur that takes to the Rust House, right off the main road. So if you've never been to Guadalupe Mountain State Park, as soon as you get done with the walk, well, then you can pop back on, you can go down to the Guadalupe River, you can soak yourself, swim, do whatever you want. They have an excellent, really nice, brand new bird called stand-up line. This place this past April where I saw my very first golden sheep. Oh, it was very, very nice. So a lot of neat hiking trails, a lot of neat things.
You don't have to be guided.
No,
No, on the park, you just do whatever.
You can also go up to the Bower unit and come around
The
the
Ballard
river and then go around the Bower unit and then cut across the river and into Honey Creek, just saying,
yes,
even though you can't.
you can pretty much go.
You can sneak across, but you can't drive. So if you want to go to the Bower unit, it's a completely different way to do it.
And Bower unit, though, if it's hot July, they'll see snakes. So if you're a snake person, put it on your list.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back and start speaking. On a specific agenda, so you might help me if I forget something. But does anybody remember the minutes of the meeting in June? No? Or what?
It was in May. We did-
John,
Oh,
there are
shoot,
minutes
I
from May was the last meeting and they were sent out.
You
I saw the
probably
minutes.
don't remember enough about
I
that.
don't read an email, it just came.
That's the board.
Oh, the minutes that just came this morning were
Oh,
made.
did they? 4 minutes? Did you have a chance to read the minutes from the May meeting?
I did.
Is there a motion to approve
I-
those minutes?
I move that we approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Who moved to approve?
Chris, approved and Craig seconded.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Very well. All opposed, same sign? Very good. Okay, let's start out with some reports from our committee chairs. Let's start out with Jennifer. Why don't you come up and share a little bit about what's going on in,
Yeah,
You treasurer too.
Yep. We're gonna get to you next.
Sure. Yeah, well, we are doing major discovery.
Can y'all come over here near the house, please? Thank you.
Oh. So since we are the first Saturday, we are going to do, we have it down as Discover Remarkable Reptiles, but we're really talking about Discover the Wetlands. And so it is the one that they've done in Shirts, and we're going to be doing it at Seguin. We're back to Seguin Public Library. We're doing it on Saturday mornings. It'll be September 7th. I've sent out a sign-up genius to the Nature Ed Committee, but if you're not on the Nature Ed Committee and you would like to help out, please let me know. That is Saturday, September 7th. Discover the wetlands at Seguin Public Library.
Okay, and in Shirts on September 14th is Discover Remarkable Reptiles. All right. I have no idea anything about reptiles because
Snakes.
I don't do snakes. Snakes and rats? No, no, no. So, yes. I know, I don't do snakes. I don't do rats. So if there's people here that like snakes and want to come help, Saturday, September 14th, and I will put out a sign up genius maybe this week. I will try. And then we have a new one for us coming up in October. Unbelievable Bats.
We do that in Seguin first and then in Church the next Saturday. So that's going to be back to back. And that's our two master naturalists that work at Bracken Cave are the ones that are creating this for us. So we are very excited about it. It should be a great event.
What are the dates?
Sarah and Kristen, it would be, we're October 5th,
We're October 12th.
October 5th, October 12th, Saturday morning. Both are Saturday mornings, one at Seguin, one at Crescent Bend.
Yeah.
And then our final one is Discover Soils.
Seguin is on the 5th.
Yes.
Seguin is on the 5th.
Thank you.
And November for us is Discover Early Texans.
Which it fits with the Twanklas and all of that.
Right.
So you gonna do the same?
No, we're going to Discover Soils, which they did earlier. We're doing
Yeah.
Discover Soils. So we're doing, as you know, this year, we're doing different things in two different areas.
And then for those who are interested in Discovery Series, we do need to get together and come up with schedule for next year.
We'll be in touch about that. We also, in Seguin, have the opportunity to interact with tons and tons of elementary age kiddos. It's going to be in the newsletter, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but we work with the Big Red Barn in Seguin when they do their agricultural awareness days. And they bring in kids from across the area, 5 or 6 counties, 3 weeks, the last weekend in September, the first 2 weekends in October. We do the one on wildlife. We've got the interpretive guide already set up. They have a wonderful setup in the Red Barn that has lots of specimens for wildlife. It's just so fun to see kids. Some of them have never touched a hide for them to interact. It's just wonderful. You talk very fast. You have 15 or 20 minutes. Brandon helped us with it last year, and it's a great experience. So it is during the day. We start about 8:30 and finish about 2, but please watch the newsletter if you decide you want to help out. My contact information will be in there. It's too complicated to try to do a sign up genius, but I do have a sign up sheet here tonight if anybody wants to sign up. But that will be last weekend in September, two weekends in October, but watch the newsletter. There'll be much more information.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much.
John?
Yes.
Can we get this report?
Yes, we're going to do that next. Craig, you're up. Chris.
Used to be Craig. I'm the new Craig.
It's Craig now.
So we had a board meeting on July 15th, and this dates from that. At that time, the bank balance was $5,116.28. We've had 11 checks come in from the new class of either $175 or $135, depending on whether they had a book or not. But $3,595 altogether between the 23rd and the 12th of 23rd of July and the 12th of August. And we had 23 cents in dividends. So that's $3,595.23 added to that, to the balance. And then we had 2 checks in support of the Discovery Program, reimbursing members who bought supplies for $262.57 and $395.86. And also a check to Texas A&M University Press for the books for $454.91. So the subtractions were $1,113.34. Bank closing balance was $7,598.17. And there were no outstanding checks nor deposits. So that is our real checkbook balance as of yesterday. $7,598.17 plus $5 in savings for a total of $7,603.17. So that's the report for Treasury.
Hey, thank you very much.
Any questions? You may now apply.
All right, recertification and achievements.
Vacations and the training class?
Mark is,
What do you think?
I don't know, it sounds like Mark might be. Mark, do you have a question? Are you running the meeting now, Mark?
Hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Mark, go ahead.
Mark, you there?
So recertification and achievements for June, July, and August this year. We have 5 people that were recertified. I don't know whether we've got the pins there. Do we have the?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, it's my turn.
So Judkins is recertified for this year. Is she there?
Wait, she's here.
Hold on, Mark.
Come forward, Yuli.
Hey,
Yuli got her recertification. And while Yuli is up here standing next to me, she has gotten her 500 hours.
oh,
So she got 2 bits. Yeah, because you didn't pick it up on time. Whenever y'all don't pick up your pens, they are usually around the sign out sheet. So you pick them up. All right. Craig Stagaville also got his recertification. Romy Gomez and Nancy Masterson. Are any of you guys online? Okay. Well, your pens will be by the sign out sheet the next time you come. Yay! So good for them. So we do have Deb Diedrich here, and she has, what are you looking surprised for? I sent you 250 hours. Yeah, I bet. All right, so then we have, for 500 hours, we have, so that was 500 hours was Bobby, Callie, and Yuli. Bobby's not here. His will be in Seguin when he shows up. I somehow or another skipped Bruce. He got his recertification, so he gets his rattlesnake. Come on up.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
got your snake.
So the last,
one for ours is our president, Mark DeCuit, got his 1,000 hours. Just, I think that was in July that he got that. So, August, you can pick this up in Seguin or whenever you're in town. What's really amazing is we have 3 new certified members of our Master Naturalist group, and none of them are here. So, but 2 of them are the Bat Girls. That would be Sarah Stankovich and Christy Minor. And then the 3rd one is Faith Norman. Faith actually got her certification back in June, but we weren't doing anything, so she had to wait till August. And when I emailed these 3 ladies, they said, sorry, we're not gonna be there. So not only do they get their pin, which is all I have up here, they're gonna be getting their T-shirt and their certificate that says, welcome to the Texas Master Naturalist Program.
Michelle.
Yes,
Michelle,
yes, I've got a lot of you, Sandy.
could we, yeah, Rhonda's gonna get mine. Could we take the ones for, Christy and those guys with us on September 10th?
Of course,
Okay.
yes. I don't, Faith usually, I think Faith lives closer to Seguin, so she'll probably pick hers up and see. Did you want to talk about the class, Bruce, or did you want me to talk about the class?
Oh, please.
Okay, so this is the largest class we've ever had this year. And there are 30 people who signed up for this class. And in the beginning of July, we had a meeting of, should we make this class or not? Because we had 6 signed up for it. So the thing was, okay, if we get 10. And then they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And you are in luck. You get to meet a couple of them tonight. So if the new members from the new class could come up here, and I will do my best. So you have to stand where the owl can see you. This is the owl. So this class is very gung-ho. I have VMS training next week, not tomorrow. And I'm already ready to start signing people up for pins because they are so with it on entering stuff. So we have Vanessa Skinner, who is a big VMSer. If you have any trouble, Paul Myers. What he said, I have to change his name in VMS. He doesn't like that. Steph Dodson actually is our new class representative for the board. So she's going to be representing Jody Peterson. Okay, Jody Peterson and David. I almost called you James.
Hey, Michelle,
Yes.
if we ask the class members that are actually online too, you've got a bunch more, they can turn on their videos.
Yes. Turn on your video. I can see Mike Horstick's up there. Ruthie.
And if you try down the bottom of your screen where it says stop, it says video, just click on it.
We're coming up. Man, somebody's blacked themselves out.
They're sitting in a dark room.
All right, so very involved. This is going to be an amazing class. There's only, of the people who graduated last year, there's only 1 that didn't get their certification. He still has till November. But 30, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, that's my goal. That's my goal. All right. Well, welcome to our.
Michelle,
Yes.
thank you and a clap for her support and being the class representative for this last year.
For last year or this year or every year?
That's for Belinda.
Belinda last year.
Oh, yes. It's Belinda. I put Belinda's on here.
Belinda Rosser. She's on.
Belinda was the class representative last year and she did a great job. She did such a good job that she reminded us that she needed to talk at the first class, which is amazing because we always forget about it till about the third class. So that was a good head start for us. Thanks, Belinda. Y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Sandy, have you got anything on citizen science?
Only that the City Nature Challenge has been announced again for next year, and it's going to be the 25th through the 28th of April. But I'm going to bring it up now because we're going to be setting up events for getting a little practice in some bio blitz, and that's going to be using iNaturalist. So we're going to set up several bio blitz, and I'm going to be putting information in the newsletter when I get to Maryland for each month, for each newsletter. That gives you a little bit more about various events, not only that our chapter is doing, but that they are doing across the area. That would count towards volunteer time, but it also lets you practice. And since the San Antonio Greater Metro area, which includes our area, came in third in the world last year, so let's see if we can do even better.
Very nice. All right.
Oh, let me make my plug from the work day at Warbler Woods also. We had our class was out there on Saturday for an interpretive walk, but we will be hosting a work day at Warbler Woods on the 12th of October, 7:30 to 2. And we are looking for volunteers. So you can sign up or you can just send me an email, but it's in the newsletter and in the on the calendar.
Thank you, Sandy. Resource management, Nancy, I saw you online. Yes, you are. Would you like to tell us and update us with resource management and the progress of the first 10th year anniversary video that you're doing? I think you're still muted, Nancy.
There we go. Yes, on resource management in the last minutes, it pointed out that we were going to apply for an HEB grant. And we have since learned that they have changed their, let me see if I can get that. They have changed their timing of their grants, and so the next deadline won't be until next April. For tree planting from October to spring of 2025, 26. So we're on track to do that. We've had a change of personnel for the Texas Forest Service. And we have now made contact with the new Forest Service representative. So more coming, but we will start clearing out the several acres of the remaining ligustrum to get ready for tree planting in fall of 2025. But we will start in November, every Thursday, starting in November, 8:30 to noon, working on invasive removal, our favorite thing.
I hate you, Jennifer. That's your cabbage.
I can put that, but you got a generational function.
Not much. But still.
All right. The next topic, can you give us an update of the owl prowl, please?
Owl prowl.
Stand close to me.
Okay, so the out trial was yesterday. We have one more for this year. That is next month on the 22nd of September. And then we go back to daytime walk with the naturalist, or we may rename that one our nature scavenger hunt. We had 23 participants, of which 4 were our own students that came, and 7 kids that showed up. Which actually is a very good turnout. However, it's now that school's been back in season, our season is back. I'm expected the numbers drop off, but we did have less than 50% of the ones that were signed up that came, because we totally ended up with 19 people. We had 37 that were signed up. So it's like, okay, but we had ended up with 2 groups going. It worked out really, really well. So many thanks to everybody who showed up to help make it a success. And like I said, the last one is on the 22nd of September of next month. If you would like to come, love to have you.
And we did hear the owls.
Yes, we heard. We saw lots of other stuff, but we didn't see any owls. And the time is 8. It starts at 8:30, but volunteers generally get there around 8 to 8:10 because the people needs to be signed in relatively quickly so we can actually leave on time. It goes so late that we don't really want to delay the start time. So if people can be there that are volunteers at 8 o'clock would be great. And as a suggestion from Uli, I designed a little thingy that you can actually take with you. She had asked me for a little handout for the leaders of what to talk about. So I designed that just because it gave a suggestion for it. So I put that together, and I guess people like it. So super. Cool. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. So thank you.
Mark? can you hear
Okay.
us?
I can't hear you guys, but Bruce, can you tell us what's going on about communications, please?
Got a whole lot of nothing to report about communications.
All
If y'all
right.
got anything you want to add to the calendar, just let me know or let Renee know.
I've got some email blast. I've got the list from a couple years ago, and I blasted out an email list to. How can I update my email list? It's what I'm trying to ask with the new members, and
We can.
With the directory that I created, you should have got it in December, but I resent it.
Okay.
The new directory.
All right.
And I'll add all the students on at the bottom.
Okay.
So the question was, how can Ken get a copy of the latest directory? And Michelle said she will. It's the one she sent out in December, and she'll be sending out another one pretty soon with all of the new members in training.
And just to let you know, when I sent out that email, I got something back from a former member, and then she seemed kind of upset because I sent her an email. And she said, I haven't been in the chapter in 6 months now. So just the folks who leave need to be deleted.
You should come back. So.
Or delete it.
They need to be, that is true. And
And I didn't know this person, but
I know who you're talking about.
okay.
Okay, so I don't usually look at the email blasts because I've got too much going on. But I am looking at some of them now to see if the new training class is included. And I'm going through the list and it's like, they moved. Oh, they're not here. They went to another chapter. They dropped out. They stopped paying their dues. So I don't know what email list y'all are looking at, but I will send everybody the new directory, and there's a column that's everybody's email. Copy that email, those emails. You've gotten in the habit of sending it off of Maryland's list or a list from whenever, who knows when you got it. And a lot of the people that you're sending it to are no longer in our chapter. And some of them will respond back and let you know. Most of them won't. Just delete. But the thing is, if you want to target the active members, you need to go off the most recent list.
You might be missing.
Because we've got a lot of active members who weren't on the list. The one that I actually looked at, a lot of our active members weren't even on there. So I will resend that to everybody and create a Google spreadsheet. You can import it into what, if I'm talking too much, that's fine. Just open the thing and copy all the email addresses. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Back to you.
Okay, Laura, can she tell us what the topics are for the next meeting, chapter meetings?
Okay, so our next chapter meeting is in Seguin on September 27th, I believe. It will be a surprise on who I have speaking. I have a lot of members or a lot of emails out waiting on return. Right, Deb? Deb is going to help me for a while. It's time. October and November. October we'll be back here, and we have a gentleman coming in to talk on the environmental ecology, right? And in November, our speaker from, again, last week, Paul, will be coming out and talking about birds of some sort. So that's the end of our two programs, our next three programs for the year.
Fourth Monday is September the 23rd.
Okay, September 23rd.
Great. Thanks, Laura.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we get to the section of open discussion. Anybody got topics they want to talk about?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I do have a couple things. One is many thanks to one of our students who pointed out to me that I had the wrong date on the brain. The Garden Volunteer Day for the students to go to is not the 3rd of September. It's the 7th of September. So please update your calendars and whoever has the student stuff. It's always the first Saturday of the month. And the 3rd of August, it was the first Saturday of last month. So I had that date on my brain when I put 3rd of September. So please update your calendar. Do not show up on Tuesday morning and expect to find somebody doing anything at Fisher Park Pollinator Garden.
It's on the 7th.
It's on the 7th. It's the first Saturday of September.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Yes, please let all of them know that. And they're welcome to come. They don't have to sign up for that. They have a sign up sheet at Fisher Park, but I don't turn any free volunteers away. So if you show up, I'm gonna put you to work.
Did you ask Sandy to change that date on the optional opportunity?
No, because I just discovered that about 30 minutes ago. I had to run it. Oh, yes.
I got it.
Thank you.
I got it, you guys. I'll get it changed.
Appreciate it. And last month we happened to have 4 adults that showed up to help us out. So that was great. And okay, t-shirts. So this does not apply to students. When you graduate and everything else and you're part of the chapter, then you get to purchase other t-shirts that have our name on them and logos. So, but everybody else that is members of the chapter. I found out this past week, a couple of days ago, that they can get us back our order as quick as 1 week turnaround. So I will, you've got a lot more time if you want to place another order. In the future, as I mentioned, it'll be every spring because that way it gives a chance for our students to graduate the program and have a couple of months to be able to actually get fully certified. And then if they want to purchase something else other than the t-shirt they're given as a member of the class, they can. You should be getting an email this week that will let you know there's some prices for things other than just a normal t-shirt. If you have just the normal tan t-shirt that I'm wearing or the polo, those prices are pretty set. But for instance, I'm ordering a jacket and I've had a couple of people want to order a heavier weight long sleeve shirt just for the winter months and stuff like that. I'll have prices on those. I know Kim's ordering a tank. So I'll have a price on that one. And that way people kind of have an idea of what the prices are running. And I also know I wanted to get a really truly synthetic dry wick cooling shirt, because this one to me was a little scratchy. But that's just me, but that way people can have an idea. The day I'll actually set the order will be the 30th of September. It's the last day, the last Monday, the last day of September. And then I'm going out of town, and therefore I want to have that done and finished.
You're gonna send an email?
Yes, I will send all that information out. Now, that is the reason why you're not getting pictures, is because the colors will be, basically, if it's a work type thing that you want, it'll be about this tan color. If it's something that looks like a little bit more dressier, it'll be like the Carolina blue that's back there. But if you contact me and go, this is the kind of shirt that I want, I will go through their humongous catalog for you and then send you ideas of these are the styles, this is the type of material. And that way you can decide, hey, I want to fleece this, or I want to long sleeve that. And I will work with each individual person. And then I've had a couple of people just say, hey, I just want the t-shirt everybody else has. Be like, good, we can do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. Anything else from shirts? Was that something or?
No.
No, okay, so let me update you with some of the events that are going to happen this year. So our 10th year function will be held on November the 9th. It's a Saturday. We're going to do it at the Bracken BCI property in Garden Ridge. Susan Hanks and Christy Miller are doing the arranging, so those are our contact people. It's designed for the whole family and perhaps even some special guests. The idea is to arrive around about midday and stay until the stars fade at night. There will be scavenger hunts, lectures, and themed walks. We will be getting feedback on the research that's been done at the site from the universities. There's programs on birds, small mammals, resizing of insects. There'll be native plant walks, geology and historic artifact walks, bird walks, reptile walks, trees, and we'll have bingo scavenger hunts for the kids. There'll be a picnic supper in the evening, and we're going to ask everybody who comes along to bring something to contribute towards that. There will be a bat emergence at sundown, and after that will be followed by those who want to stay and watch, look at the stars. So more information will be coming out this next month on that event. Then in December, we'll have the end of year function, and I'm looking for a person to help lead that end of year function. That's usually within the first 2 weeks of December. Anything else from anybody?
This is Elaine.
Yes,
I've got
Elaine.
a couple of questions about the annual conference coming up.
Yes.
One, is there a spreadsheet, or do we go to Mary Pearl about volunteering for any activities that they need help with? So question one. And question two, I saw that they were asking for either a $100 donation or auction items, like for a gift basket. So if anybody's interested in doing items for a gift basket, I've got note cards that I make from some of my photography. I could collect those things at the September meeting, put those together in a basket if interested.
Okay, thanks, Elaine.
So volunteer sign up?
Volunteer sign up. There is an Excel spreadsheet that is on the website, the Texas Master Naturalist website. You go to the annual conference and there's a spreadsheet there. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll download it and send it on to you. That has the lists of who's doing what and when for volunteers. And then anybody who wants to give something towards a donation or for a basket for auction, talk to Elaine, and it has to be done by the end of the September meeting, correct?
I can collect items in September. I think they just need to know. I'll look that up again. I think they just need to know, and you bring it basket auction items to the meeting.
Yes. Okay.
But I'll double check that and can send something out.
Thanks, Elaine. Anybody else?
Chris. There was a note on chat, when we were talking about sending out the roster, that if you are sending, an email with, to multiple people, please use the blind copy. Or, so that, so that people's email addresses aren't spread all over. Like, when I send out, at least I hope I did this morning, when I send out the email, for the meetings, I always blind copy that. Just so, so people's emails aren't exposed.
Okay. Good email
And I
etiquette. Thank you. Okay, who else?
So the graduation for this class is gonna be November 16th. Is Alan looking for me? His eyeballs turned around the other way.
Oh, I got the camera turned off. So
Okay, so, November 16th, that's a Saturday. That's the 10th class that is graduating. That is an invitation for everybody to come join us. And we will figure it out. There'll have to be some kind of RSVP to that. And we'll provide the meat or something. And then if people could just bring, sides, it's gonna be at the Seguin Outdoor Learning Center. The class will have class that morning from 9 to noon. And that will be in the Science Center. For those of you that are familiar with Seguin Outdoor Learning Center, there's a history center that's at the top of the hill. It's more like, it's not quite as big as this, but it's almost as big as this. Scratch the foyer area here. And so we should all be able to fit in there. And so that was supposed to be a 10th anniversary thing also, for the graduating class and the members to come and celebrate them having the 10th.
And what time is that? Do you want to come at noon or later on in the
Lunch will
afternoon?
probably be 12:30 to 2, 3. It's 12 to 2.
Thank you.
Okay, so you'll get to eat, but then you have to listen to them graduating with all their certificates too.
Good. It'll be heavy 3 months. Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else?
Yes, Mark, this is Craig Breska. I've been working with NIPSOT to create seed libraries in the area. I've already reached out to Schertz. They're in preliminary efforts to create their seed library in Marion, and I'm working with trying to get Seguin involved. So this is what the Lindheimer chapter is doing with High Preston is when they have seed cleaning work days, which we had once or twice a month, to see about getting this as chapter approved. We haven't opened the library. We haven't scheduled any of this, but I'm just planting the seed, literally and figuratively on this. So there'll be more to come as the libraries get closer to getting ready to go. They'll have some sessions to clean all harvested seeds to build their library stuff. And I'll make sure that everybody is notified and makes newsletters as it's coming, but that's something that'll probably happen this year, at least in Schertz and possibly Seguin and Marion.
Great. Thank you. You'll keep us informed.
Will do.
Thank you. Right. Anybody else? All right, nobody. Well, thank you everybody for coming this evening. And Mary, thank you very much for your presentation. It was really interesting. It's now 8:51. Declare this meeting closed. Please drive safely home.